Coming up on Stow Nation.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny is as much as the windshield attracts bugs, those things don't attract bugs. I can't figure it out. It kind of defies the laws of physics. I don't understand it.
Welcome to another episode of Stow Nation, a production of Park Media. Before I introduce today's guest, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, and leave a 5-star review. And if you find this podcast useful in any way and want to pay us the ultimate compliment, head on over to our Patreon page where you can subscribe to be a Classic, Stealth, or Beast Mode subscriber.
Welcome to the Stow Nation podcast. My name's Michelle, and I am the host for today's episode. I am very pleased to welcome George Murrell to the podcast. And George, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Stow Nation. Thanks, Michelle. Glad to be with you.
Well, George, I think you're a fairly new or recent owner of a new beast. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and how did you get started? How did you get into the storyteller community?
Well, I'm 61 years old. I'm a ear, nose, and throat, head and neck surgeon. I spent a career in the Navy and then retired from the Navy about 10 years ago. Actually, almost exactly 10 years ago to the day. And then went into private practice. And I practice in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I've always had a little bit of interest in RVs. My grandfather on my mom's side, I've got a great picture of me as an infant crawling in the grass in his VW van in the background. It's a great shot. And he was an avid coastal fisherman. And he had all sorts of different RVs and camper things and always found that very fascinating. Didn't have a lot of firsthand experience with them, though, to be honest with you. Although I spent most of my adult life in San Diego, and I'm an avid surfer. And of course, the everyone dreams of having a VW surf mobile. I mean, they're very popular in San Diego, so I definitely looked at those and really did look at maybe getting one. But they stopped making those so many years ago. You can't get them now. You can get them in Europe. I don't know whether you could buy that VW California now and haul it over or not. So then you're left with other options. And I spent, countless hours on YouTube, going to factories. I went to the Sportsmobile factory out in Fresno, which was kind of an interesting experience. The Sportsmobiles are really incredibly rugged and have great four-wheel drive capability. But boy, the factory was a complete mess, and it takes forever for them to build one. So I kind of steered away from them, and then I saw a Rebel,
Mhm.
and I was hiking on the Appalachian Trail. I'll get to that more, but I'm a big time hiker. And boy, I came to one of the places in the Shenandoah where it goes along the Blue Ridge Parkway. The trail comes out, and there was a Rebel park there. Man, and I had seen them on YouTube and stuff. But boy, when I saw that, I'm like, man, this is really, really impressive. So I was getting. I guess at the time I was probably convinced that that's where I would go, but I wasn't ready to pull the trigger yet.
Uh-huh.
And then I guess it was on YouTube. I saw Storyteller Overland. And one of the videos that made a big impression of me was when they toured the factory in Birmingham. Man, that place was impressive. It was just really impressive. And honestly, I bought mine. Well, I ordered it and bought it without ever seeing one in person. I'd never seen one, but I think I still did a lot of research where I
Uh-huh.
felt comfortable that this was the one that I wanted to get.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
did you know you wanted a Sprinter chassis or a Transit chassis? Clearly, Volkswagen didn't work since the Californians aren't available
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
U.S. yet.
yeah. Um, Once I decided to go with Storyteller Overland, I looked at all the different options, and I knew I wanted something that was at least pretty four wheel drive capable. So eventually, my youngest daughter said, "Dad," I have two daughters, teenage daughters. My youngest daughter said, "Dad, just get the beast mode. Why worry about upgrades or anything else? I'm fortunate that I've made a good living and been smart with my money, so I could afford it. I appreciate the fact that this is an expensive endeavor. Although you and I talked about this inside joke that the reason you buy an expensive camper van is so you can spend more money on the camper van." That's the whole
That is
point.
so true.
Um,
And that, speaking of topics, we're gonna have to save for later because I want to know what kind of mods you've done, even though you got the
yeah,
top end to be small.
yeah, yeah. I've done quite a few. So I ended up calling Storyteller, and they were, they've been great the whole time along. And they said, "Where are you?" And I'm in Virginia Beach. They said, "Oh, well, Campers Inn in Fredericksburg, which is about a couple of hours from me, is going to be our first dealer in Virginia." And I called them up, and this was I ordered it in August. And I was ready to pull the trigger. I mean, when I called the guy and he says, "Well, we have a beast mode coming in. If you want, if you want to put your name on it, you can." And I'm like, "What do I have to send you?" And I think
And this is August of 2021.
That's right. So
Okay.
so literally from the time I decided that okay, I'm going to get it to when I ordered it, it was a day.
Wow.
And they originally said, okay, it'll be a couple of months, maybe 3 months, definitely before Christmas. But I was a little leery of that, so I wasn't. One of the reasons I got it is because I'm picking my way across the Appalachian Trail. At that point, I had already done all of Virginia, which is kind of what you can do comfortably driving in a truck, maybe get to a hotel the night before, hire a shuttle to take you further down the trail and then hike back, that kind of thing. But with a camper van, it just gives you so much more flexibility. I leave my stuff in the camper van, so I'm ready to go at a moment's notice. I can even leave from work. I don't have to worry about checking into a hotel and hauling all my stuff in, checking into the front desk, all that stuff. So now I've been driving to maybe a crossroads or a destination like a hostel, which is a hiker, low budget hiker hotel, and then getting someone to take me further down the trail or up the trail and then hike back.
Minimal convenience and comfort.
Well, no, and it's great because I'll get in. We'll relax, have some heat up some pizza in the microwave, get a good night's sleep, be ready to go early in the morning. So anyway, Campers Inn. I ordered it through them. They were great, and I picked it up on February 11th, which was actually kind of fun. Took the train up to Fredericksburg and then just got an Uber and picked it. Didn't have any. My wife was working. That's a whole nother story. She, sometimes spouses are into it and sometimes spouses are not into it. My wife is not into it. I don't know whether she's never even been in it. She's not hostile.
Oh, wow.
She's not hostile about it because, I make, she works some, but it's my money. I've been very responsible. So anyway.
So is she not into it ever, or not into it yet? She just hasn't seen how easy glamping is.
Well, it goes through. Yeah, she's never been camping, so life goes through stages. We'll see what happens in the future.
All right.
You never know.
We'll have to have that as a follow up.
Yeah, you never know what might happen. Although I'm kind of jumping ahead, but part of it was where am I going to put? We'll get to all these topics, but where am I going to put the van, right? And I live in a nice residential neighborhood right on the beach in Virginia Beach, and we don't have HOA, so that's nice because people do have Class A's parked in their driveway, which doesn't look that great. But look, I'm not going to say don't do it. And originally I thought that I wanted to park it here at the house. But she didn't really like that, and I'm like, okay, I'll try to be nice, and I'll get a parking spot. I'm retired as retired Navy. I have access to there's a Navy base, jet Navy base, 5 minutes from my house, and they have a lot that's completely secure. There's nowhere as secure as a federal lot.
Oh, that's fabulous.
But then because as a complete idiot or ignorance when it comes to these things, I didn't realize that. Well, God, if I'm using it in the wintertime, I'd have to winterize it and de-winterize it every time I use it. I'm not going to do that. Plus, the other thing is that, I think that Storyteller and the Volta people will tell you the best thing you can do for your battery system is to use it, okay? Not to have it parked somewhere. So eventually, I just told her, I said, I'm parking it here. So I've got a nice spot on the side of the house. And one thing that I did is I put in a 30 amp line. So I treat it like an apartment. Sometimes I'll just go out there to sleep.
That's fabulous. It's your own man cave away from home.
Yeah, exactly. So that has worked out really well. But anyway, from the time I ordered it in August, I got it in February. I know
about 6 months. 6 months. Then
yeah,
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible. I was definitely ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited to get it. Of course, as you're waiting to get it, you're ordering stuff that maybe you'll use, maybe you won't use. You order these sheets, you order this, this,
Yes.
you order a million
Yes.
things beforehand. Probably about half of which I've used, and the other half.
Okay. Now, what kind of let's talk about the day you picked it up. What kind of decisions did you have to make as far as warranty, insurance, extra coverage, anything else you added on? Specific to your purchasing experience.
So interestingly enough, some insurance companies will insure you and some won't. So as a military person, I'm with USAA, both for my home and for my auto. They won't insure camper vans, but they work through Progressive to do it. And I just decided, I saw one of the Stow Nation productions had someone who I think either gave the story of someone shortly after they picked up their camper van, they basically totaled it. They ran over some median or hit something or did so. Originally, I wasn't going to go all out on insurance, but I said, no, I'm getting everything. So I got complete and total,
Okay.
If it gets totaled, I get full replacement. Not, it's where I think that's the way to go. If you've got a 2012 Toyota Tacoma truck, which I have, with 130,000 miles, I don't feel like I need to have a lot of insurance on it. But the camper van, I went all out on the camper van.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, aside from insurance, I'm guessing warranty was an option.
I didn't get anything other than what the basic warranty is. I'm actually, I didn't do a lot of research on that. Maybe you can clue me in. Are there third-party companies that add more warranty?
There are. It seems like it's a mix right now. Mm-hmm. We did not get the Mercedes. We did not get an aftermarket. What we did personally is we chose with the Progressive insurance as well. Yeah. They have gap coverage. So if your vehicle is totaled, they will replace it up to the value that you paid for it, mm-hmm. With a new vehicle. So that was the path we went. And I think based on the folks I've talked to, there really isn't a right answer. It's just whatever your comfort level is. But it's always helpful to understand what kind of decisions have to be made on pickup day. Now, when you picked it up, did you have any issues with the pickup, or it was good to go and none out the door?
Yeah, it was there. It was ready to go. The guy who ran me through the stuff, I guess we took about 3 hours. He was really great. Campers Inn was really good. But, I had never, I've driven a tractor when I was a kid and worked on a farm, but I'd never driven something quite that big before. So I was definitely nervous driving away, getting on the interstate and coming home. Now I feel more comfortable in that with the lane assist and everything else than I do in my pickup truck. But at first, I was definitely a little bit nervous. Although interestingly enough, he was really good about going, we went through the whole thing, whether it's, the Mercedes stuff in the front or all the Storyteller stuff in the back. And I had done a good bit of research and felt like I had a pretty good understanding of how all the systems tie together. And when he got to the four-wheel drive, I said, oh no, I got four-wheel drive. I know how to work four-wheel drive, no problem. So now skip forward, a few months, and I'm in the mountains of Tennessee, and I've got to go up, come down this really steep hill, and I'm trying to turn the four-wheel drive on. Now, for the people who have the four-wheel drive, you'll know you don't just flip a switch. You have to flip a switch to turn it on while you're in drive. Then you go to neutral. When the light stops flashing, then you put it back into drive. You're not going to divine that on your own. And honestly, that's probably the only criticism I would have about the Mercedes-Benz manual. Even after I knew that, I'm looking at the manual like, I'm not sure that's really what it says. Fortunately, I was within cell phone range, and I could go to a YouTube demonstration of the guy showing me how to do it. Because I was in the middle of like gale force winds and rain trying to go down this hill. But I worked it all out, and fortunately, I didn't damage the vehicle. But anyway, that's something. Tell the guy, explain to me exactly how the four-wheel drive. Don't just assume that
practice
that you know something, because maybe it's different than what your experience is. That's one thing that I screwed up on, but fortunately, I'm okay.
That was I'm 100% with you. Farm girl as well. And, knowing whether a vehicle is a shift on the fly or you have to
Right.
stop, jockey it back and forth in neutral, sweet talk it, give it sweet nothings,
Yeah.
and then finally it pops into four-wheel drive. So that's very true. Definitely something I would recommend anyone. Before you need it, practice it, making sure you
Yes.
can get it in, and also getting it out of four-wheel drive, because
Yes.
they're unique beasts, and they're very well made. But it's always good to know how to use it before you need to use it.
Right.
So that's a
Yeah.
good one. Now tell me about your stash. You said you had some purchases, and I've heard it varies from a small closet to a bedroom from different folks waiting on their storyteller. What did you have on your list that you purchased before you picked up your van? Which one of those? How many of those items came in handy, and then which ones did maybe not as necessary as we thought up front?
Well, I did I got all the lines for filling up the water tank, the water purifier. Um, I tried to do. I ordered the Dreamweaver sheets. I think that's from maybe from Canyon or one of the places.
I think
Yeah,
it's from Canyon.
not a big fan of them, just because
Okay.
it's so difficult putting them in, and they're not. At least my experience is they're not really necessarily that tailored.
Yes.
I found that if I'm sleeping in the back, I just take a really cheap comforter that I ordered on Amazon, and tuck it in, and that's what I lie on.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then I actually use a light sleeping bag that I use for backpacking, because I've got about like 4 different sleeping bags that I have for backpacking. Let's see, what else did I order beforehand?
Now, while we're on topic of the bed, how do you find the comfort of the Storyteller mattress? Out of curiosity.
Yeah. We had this conversation in the prep for the show, and you recommended this topper for the Groove Lounge, and I did order that, and I got it, and I've laid on it, and I got to say, man, that it's called the Millard. The Millard, that's what it's called, Millard.
I think the one that we had talked about it's a 4 or a 6 inch.
Yeah, it's a 6 inch, and I have to say
mattress pad. Yeah.
that's really comfortable compared to what's on there. So I actually think I'm probably going to bite the bullet and order the special ones. I guess is that from Alvan's? It's from one of the ones, Alvan's or Canyon or one of those. Yeah. So I think I'm good, because it's got the thicker. I think I am going to go for that. Another thing I got beforehand is, the Beast comes with the black, completely darked out light covers. And I got the kind of orange colored ones that you can just leave on. That way, when you need the lights, you just flip them on. It may or may not be completely legal in some states, but I haven't had any issues so far. I've already put.
Now, did you
go ahead?
Did you cover the lights that are over the cab with the amber covers and those in front of the grill? All of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really nice. What's funny is, as much as the windshield attracts bugs, those things don't attract bugs. I can't figure it out. It kind of defies the laws of physics. I don't understand it.
That's what we all need now, because ours loves the bugs.
Yeah. So I got the light covers. That was a really good purchase. I definitely would recommend those. Those were really good.
And those were Amazon purchase?
Boy, I think you can. I guess they're KC covers. Okay. Yeah, they're KC covers. Okay. I got I pretty much got those from Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So far you don't have a massive stash of items that you purchased beforehand. Sheets, light covers, anything else that came in handy, or not so much?
I had ordered the little, when you can take the screws off of all the little places up top and you add a little a D attachment to it. I had already ordered those beforehand, so I could put those in to hang different things. I'd also ordered the little attachments for the L-track system, and I got these foldable crates that are about 2.5 by 1 foot that you can put different things in, and you can then secure those to the L-track. I think I'll probably go through some different arrangements in the back. I mean, I've already gone through some, how to store your stuff. I did order the bike attachment, the expensive one, but that's pretty good. I mean, it definitely, when you lock it in there, your bike's not going anywhere. Because a lot of people, you could put a comforter down and just throw your bike in there, and it's probably going to be fine. But it's kind of nice to have
It works.
For
That's the
me,
important thing.
because I go by myself, I've got tons of room. I mean, if you're traveling with two people or more than that, it can get a little tight with storage and stuff. But I pretty much keep everything in there all the time in terms of the water line, the sewer, outflow, all that stuff that I may not use unless I'm going to an RV site or something, which I've done one time. I went to Trail Days in Damascus, Virginia, and used that, and all that worked fine. It all worked fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, after the fact, how long did you run with your van the way it was, and then how long did it take for you to say, hey, I need something more, or I want to change something, or add some additional mods? Because that's always a question I have to ask.
I think it was after I got it that I added the smaller box in the back. And, make sure you measure 12 times before you drill the holes. I did not screw that up because you have to drill the holes yourself to put it on the back of the Sherpa. So I ordered that afterwards. I ordered the Alvan shovel. I got a couple of jerry cans that I put diesel in with the diesel, stabilizer. So it basically lasts forever. And I don't know if it came with this where you can put a lock on the spare tire. So you can't take the spare tire off if you're sitting in a, because I've heard that people steal those tires. I mean, they're very expensive tires. I guess they could cut through a lock, but at least it's gonna make it harder.
It'll slow them down.
Yeah, and then I ordered. People recommend having a full set of tools, emergency gear. So I put all that stuff in the box in the back, which is kind of nice. One little trick that I did is, you get all these different products and all of them have some styrofoam packing and stuff. Save some of the styrofoam because I lined my box with really thin styrofoam because nothing's going to make a noise now, because you don't want to hear, nothing's worse. And that's one thing people said about the Revel is when you're driving down the road, you hear click, 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 So I know if I hear something when I'm driving down the road, something's not right. Like one time, my refrigerator wasn't closed all the way, or whatever. So that's a few things. I also, the flooring was it's like, what do you do with the flooring? Everybody's got different. WeatherTech makes a great, front panel for that. I mean, it's basically indestructible. You can take it out and hose it. You can wipe it off. You can do whatever. So I'd already bought that. But then I saw the Alvan ones that's got the woven vinyl thing. And I'm like,
they look gorgeous in the photos.
And I'm like, man, I got to have that. So now in the front, I've got belt and suspenders. I've got the WeatherTech. And then on top of that, I've got, and then in the back, I had already made my own template out of cardboard and then cut out a black foam, like an exercise, pad. And it really fit well. I mean, I spent a lot of time, spent a whole afternoon on that. But then again, I saw the Alvans thing and I'm like, so I've got 2 layers back there too. Although I'll have to say, even though, it takes up about that much space, I actually kind of like the cushion and then the Alvan cover on top. So I can definitely recommend the Alvan stuff. I mean, I don't really have to have that, but it's amazing how you'll spill stuff in the van.
Yes.
I mean, I've turned over a beer. That was ugly. Here's another thing I've done is when I put the shower away, I didn't realize that I'd inadvertently turned the nozzle on and the water pump was off. The water pump was off, so nothing's going to happen. But then when I went to brush my teeth later at night or something, I turned the water pump on and I'm like, I see this dripping, and I'm like, oh my God, so you got to make sure the shower, the little back and forth nozzle is off, but make sure the controller is off too. You really want to double check that because you just don't want to have water leaks because it can happen.
That's a good hint. I am paranoid about doing that myself. It's got that tiny little knob there, and if it just jostles a bit or something, I am so paranoid that I'm going to get a shower and I don't expect it.
So one thing I learned is I keep extra towels in my van. I mean, I've got like 4 beach-sized towels in the van at all times, and I have used them. I've definitely used them. I've got a from Amazon a little caddy between the two seats. It's about like this. It's got two compartments, and I keep the gloves in there because I never touch diesel pumps without gloves on. You would never get the smell off of your hands. Admittedly, I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to stuff like that, and I keep shop towels, paper towels, both Windex and like Simple Green cleaner. Stuff like that. So I always keep some snacks, in between there and stuff. So so that has worked out really well. I haven't really looked at adding I'd kind of be interested to see what other people think about the, like an island between the two. Do people really use that? Put your elbow on it or put drinks on it. I don't know. Whether I'd like that or not. I might. Something else to buy.
I don't know. Don't let Canyon Adventure Vans know about that, because they'll have one in no time.
No, one of them has it. I don't know if it's Canyon or which one it is, but one of them has it.
No.
They've got a thing for in between. Yeah. So, I did buy. I actually did buy a full cover for it, but now that I'm not putting it really in storage, I haven't even broken that out of the thing. I also did buy a foam cover that I was going to cut to customize it. But I realized that's not. I don't think that would really improve the quality. So that was kind of a wasted purchase.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do like that I put in the 30 amp line at the house. I think that's if you have the ability to do that, it really comes in handy because then you just treat it like an apartment.
Now, I think I heard you say you use your shower quite a bit. So you do the wet camping when the temperatures are warm fairly often?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what the temperature is, because even now I've already gone when it was below freezing, and I've gone when it's up into the mid 80s. So I've gone in different, conditions now. And, I've used the air conditioner. I haven't had the auto, so the Beast mode has the little switch that you can flick on. So if the battery charge, I think it's 20%, gets down to 20%, it'll automatically go into the high idle. I haven't had it do that yet. Actually, on this last trip, it was going to be really warm. It's going to be in the mid 80s, but my battery didn't get low enough for that to work. But no, I do use the shower. I like the shower. I mean, I don't have you take a Navy shower, where you wet down. I use a product called Wilderness Wash, which is a liquid, and it doesn't. It supposedly is very environmentally friendly. They sell it at REI. I'm sure you can get it at Amazon, but I think it does a pretty good job. But it doesn't suds up a lot, but it gets you clean, and supposedly it's good for the environment. Because honestly, it's a gray tank. It's not a black tank, and unless you put something really wicked in it, you can empty that gray tank. I empty it at my house. I have a porous driveway on that side, so I just empty it there. I don't feel bad about it because I take an 5 steps away from that is my outdoor shower that we go into from the pool and from the beach, and we use products in that are a lot worse than the Wilderness Wash. You know what I mean? In some places you have to. In some places like San Diego, they had it where if you had an outdoor shower, you had to have it drained to the regular sewer line. But most places don't have that, and I don't feel like I'm hurting the environment with that. Anyway.
Yeah. That's good then. So how the question we always have to ask, do you use the Dometic toilet that comes with the van? Do you drink out of the and a separate topic then? Do you use the sink water for drinking, or do you carry 5-gallon or water bottles?
But that's kind of interesting. So when you get the van, that you can, I don't know whether it's in the instructions where they talk about how to prep the lines, and they talk about treating it with chlorine, where you treat it with bleach. And I asked the RV guy that I took delivery from, and he goes, "Look, I've been RVing for 30 years." He says, "I've never done that." He goes, So all I did was just flush the line with regular water, till you get all of the antifreeze out of there. And I did it like 2 or 3 times. And when I fill up with water, I run it through the filter. So it's better probably than the water I drink. Virginia Beach has pretty good water, so we don't really filter our water anymore. And if it has a bad taste, I've gotten used to it. So when I taste the water now coming from the sink, it seems like it's fine to me. So I do bring a 5-gallon container of water with me, but I don't feel bad about using the water from the sink. I really don't.
Mhm.
Was that the question? Oh no,
I think so. Yeah, to use the water, and then the toilet,
Okay.
of course.
It doesn't embarrass me to talk about this. I mean, it's something that RVers, I think, get used to. They say, I heard Tim Allen talk once where, Tim Allen's a very interesting story. He was actually in federal prison for quite a few years for selling drugs. And then he got out and turned his life around. And I think most people would say he was a pretty good success. But he said, when you go to prison, and you're in the cell with a bunch of other guys, you're like, ooh, going to the bathroom. He says, let me tell you, he says, after a day, you're having conversations when you're going to the bathroom. It's nothing. So I guess the point is with RVers, generally, I don't think RVers are too embarrassed to talk about that. Okay. They're not going to take a video of it and share it. So what I do, I'm by myself, so it's pretty easy. I actually take the blue 7-gallon container. I put the Dometic liquid in it, and that's my liquid waste. And if I put it on top of the seat on the Groove Lounge, or I put it on top of the closed water well, it's the perfect height for a guy like me who's like 5'10" to 6 feet. And that'll last you a long time, even if you're really good at hydration. Never stinks.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to topple that over either. So for the solid waste, which I do use it, I use the Dometic that they sent me, and I use the Dometic liquid in it. And I haven't really had a problem, although this may be more information than most people want. I've seen there's a guy who has the RV Doughboy, and he talks about it, and he says how, you can't fit your kibbles and your bits and your caboose in it at the same time. So basically, for me at least, it's for solid waste. It is not. I don't think I could maneuver myself where I could put solids and liquids in it. Now, my youngest daughter is probably going to go with me on a big surf trip to California next year. And what I'll probably do is I'll get her the bigger Dometic, and that'll be hers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But so far, I haven't had a problem. I go ahead, I'm only gone for a couple of nights at a time right now because I work full time. So I'm a weekend warrior. It's not hard for me to bring it in and empty it. It's just not that big a deal. So that hasn't been a real issue for me. I tend to keep it.
That's great.
So when I'm not sleeping, I fold up half of the back sleeping area, and that's where I have the Dometic. Because it's kind of a pain if you're always moving it around when you're out on the road. That it seems to me like that's a big issue. If you like originally I was putting it in the water well, but then you got to pull it out of the water well, and then you put it maybe behind the passenger seat, and then you've got to move it when you want to get out. So it's kind of nice if you can pick one spot where it can stay and it can actually be used in that spot. So that's kind of what I've done now. And I've gotten to where if I'm not sleeping, I flip that side up because it just seems like it, I don't know, makes it easier to get access to things. It just seems a little bit more open. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it's certainly RV size. So those are good hints. Now you said weekend use mostly for your Beast. Primarily off grid, or do you ever go to campgrounds?
I've done one campground. I went to Trail Days, which is basically a hiker convention in Damascus, Virginia, where I stayed at an RV park, and that was fine. I mean, I had no problems. It was kind of nice. I mean, you could hook up to the line. You didn't have to worry about your battery life going down, although I'm not too worried about that anyway. Plus, that was just my first time of just hooking up. I bought the little, what you connect into the line coming from the RV park to diagnose it, to make sure that it's not going to mess up your electrical system. You get a green reading. So I had bought that either before or after, and that's a good thing to have. And then I've gone off grid. Well, basically, all my other trips have been where I've either parked at a parking lot of a shuttle service or at a hostel. Originally, I thought that I would park at some of the trailheads and then have somebody come and get me. But at this point, just the logistics of it has worked out where there was a hostel or a shuttle service where I could park and feel pretty darn confident that no one was going to vandalize, my camper van. Because if you know you're going to be gone for a day or so, you do worry about that a little bit. I mean, and it's kind of interesting. People who are really off grid, I wonder how worried they are that some Yahoo's going to come along. Now, obviously, there's not a lot of Yahoos when you're off grid, but it is a concern. And when I'm not in it, I've got it blacked out. The first thing I do when I get somewhere is I go ahead and black it out. Unless I guess if I go somewhere and I'm out west and I want to see the views, then fine. But if you're not there, I think most people probably black it out when they're not there, because then someone doesn't know, are you there? Are you not there? And a lot of people do motion lights. So if somebody walks up, that'd be kind of an interesting topic for other people to talk about. I'd be interested in to hear what they say about that. How worried are they about that?
Now, what's your experience? Because you kind of came from the West Coast originally, San Diego, and now you're over on the East Coast. And there's a completely, in our experience traveling the country, we found there's a completely different vibe, East Coast, West Coast, and there's still not quite as many of these camper vans on the East Coast. How much interest do you get? Do you get a lot of stares, a lot of conversations going down the road?
I cannot go to the gas station without someone coming up and asking me about it, and also asking for a tour. I was washing my van last week out in front of my house, and this lady who was she was riding by on a bicycle for exercise, stopped and said, "That's the van from the Kenny Chesney video." He's got this video called "Everyone She Knows," that basically the storyline of the video is this gal, probably in her mid to late 20s, all of her friends are getting married, having kids, but she's out seeing the world in the camper van, and it's a Storyteller Overland. I mean, it's a great advertisement for Storyteller Overland because it shows her at the Grand Canyon, it shows her at Yosemite, it shows her going across the Bixby Bridge at Big Sur. So she's like, "Will you give me a tour? I'm in the middle of washing the thing," right? And so that I cannot. And also when I'm driving down the road, people will come up beside me and they'll give me a thumbs up, or they'll give me something like this. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, and I like it. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not going to be in the middle of nowhere and give some sketchy person a tour, but I'm giving a few people a tour. And like the last time, a couple of the hostels that I've stayed at, people have come up and said, "Can I look at your van?" And then they're real interested in getting one until they ask, bum, 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 "How much does that cost?" Yeah, like I had a guy last week that I took the hiking shuttle with. He says, "How much is that?" Maybe 110. And I really felt bad telling him how much it cost, because I'm just like,
That's a tough one, and it's always interesting when you talk to others, because a lot of people do get that question, and we're very blessed to be able to have something like this. But some people give the direct answer. I think the best one I heard, or the most interesting one, was, "I don't know, man. It's my buddy's. I just borrowed it." So I think it probably depends on who your audience is.
Yeah, maybe I'll just tell them it belongs to my wife. I don't know. She just lets me borrow it.
There you go.
Could be true. Rather than make them feel bad. That they can't give. Well, the thing is if people use it for a residence, that's a whole different ballgame.
It's the cost of a house. It's a house on the road.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's complete luxury item. Although I don't know, the economy the way it is, maybe I'll be living in a van down by the river.
It could be. Well, you said you were at the gas station recently, and right now, at least, we have some incredibly high gas prices in the country. I think I'm in California, and I think we're around $7 right now for diesel. How are you finding it out there? Do you have any issues finding the right grade of diesel? And then, how are you dealing with gas prices?
Yeah, so it's around $6 now. It varies from town to town in Virginia. It's a big deal. I mean, it's not good. I can afford it. I feel sorry for people, who live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it's a big part of it really is a big part of those people's budget, particularly for people, say a trucker, who owns his own, he's an independent trucker. I mean, or a gal. I mean, they're really screwed right now. I haven't had problem finding, the right grade, but it is, you can go to these places where you pull up and then you're like, you have to have a special trucker credit card. or you know what I mean? I mean, like the Shell and some of the Sunoco, they tend. So I've got it kind of mapped out in my head now on routes that I have to repeat. Oh, this is a place I can go. I'm not going to have a hassle finding the diesel pump. I'm not going to have a hassle using the credit card. It pumps pretty fast, and I can use the bathroom and get out of there. So yeah, that's only the biggest thing is when you go to these more trucker dedicated places, it can be a bit of an issue.
That's what we found too. It's you can either, if you don't have the company card, then you have to go in, prepay, tell them how many gallons you want. It's a bit old school. So definitely a challenge.
And you don't really like to spend that extra time because invariably when you go in there, there's a queue that's like 10 people long. I mean, I've actually been to several places where I just turned around and was like, I'm gonna keep going. I can't, which brings up the whole thing about the tank, the gas tank. It's 21. I think it's 21 gallons, and I desperately am gonna. I want to go back up to I think it's the 47 from the S&B. So I'm definitely going to put that in. I'm trying to see if my local Mercedes people will do it. Otherwise, you got to go to one of these, places that's a long ways away. You got to drive, 3 to 6 hours. Then you got to stay overnight. I mean, I find it hard to believe that the Mercedes dealership here in Virginia Beach, if I went in and said, hey, I got a hole in my gas can, my gas tank, I'm sure they'd be able to fix it and change it out. So that's all they have to do is just change it for this larger one because it fits in the same place. You've got the bigger one.
We did. We just put the larger one in. I think it was February or March.
Is it 47 or 46?
I want to say it's 47, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
I got the So basically, it more than doubles your capacity.
Yeah.
Which is,
and for us, it was very nice because you don't have to. It was very nice because you don't have to carry those jerry cans around anymore. And these vans are great, but there's only so much cargo you can haul in them. And if my husband and I are out, it's certainly helpful to have that extra space for other storage.
It's the S&B 47 gallon.
Okay.
Which runs you. To order it, it's like $1,549. And then it's going to cost you almost as much to get them to put it in. But so I'm working on a Mercedes dealer here in town to try to get them to do it because I don't mind dropping the van off and leaving it for a few days. Because I don't typically use it as my commuting vehicle. Although I have used it, when my daughter started driving and she wanted to do something, I'm like, sure, I'll just take my Beast, no problem.
That's fantastic. So you've had it for 4 months now. How many miles do you have on yours?
Over 7,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, here's the best mod that I did is, there's a black wrap on the hood. I had a black wrap that basically matches the hood black put on above the windshield. That just looks so sharp. I sent you a picture of that. I think
we're going to have to use that picture to, we'll use that picture for the podcast pic so everybody can see what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. That I highly recommend that. And that doesn't take long at all. They said it would take a morning, and I was having somebody come pick me up to take me to the office because I was just dropped it off in the morning. And literally, if I could have waited an extra 30 minutes, they said, "Oh, we're going to be done."
That's fantastic.
So yeah, highly recommend that. I was trying to think of any other mods that I did. Let me look at my little list here.
You said 7,000 miles on it, and over on the East Coast, you're up in the mountains hiking. How are you finding the suspension?
On that same trip where I was trying to get it into 4-wheel drive, we were having coming out of the mountains near Boone, North Carolina. I mean, it was blowing over 40 miles per hour. And I was remarkably stable. I mean, even though I was on these winding roads, it was raining like crazy. I've been pretty impressed because I know that that can be a concern with high-profile vehicles. I've felt pretty darn good.
That's good.
I felt pretty good. Now I don't have anything to compare it to, if compared to a model that doesn't have the extra suspension. But I've heard that. What is the deal with these people adding some sort of pedal thing to help with the acceleration? People have talked about that. Do you have that?
We do have that. So what we find is with the diesel, it's got some lag in it. And so what that means, right? So when you push the accelerator, it takes a little while for it to spool up. That's just a characteristic of the diesel engines. So there's some products out on the market. Pedal Box is one. which is it plugs
Okay,
into
pedal
your
box.
ECM and basically changes the profile of the user input. So for example, if you push your accelerator pedal, you can essentially tell this device to multiply it by 20% or 40% to try to cut that lag. Now, the other options are, of course, there are specific ECM, the electronic control module, tunes. So Rentec is one, and I believe Karma is the other one. And I know we have a podcast on the Karma one. So we started with the pedal box,
And
we put the Rentec on it as well. So we have both of those right now. Personally, I haven't driven it since we had the tune put on it, but reviews from my better half says it's much better. He's very impressed.
Okay. I really like the Groove Lounge. Mm-hmm. I know that you guys, I don't give it away, but I know you sleep on the Groove Lounge.
We do. Yeah, we use the Groove Lounge on the bed.
But I love the different positions because I like guitars and I take my guitar with me. Yeah. So it can get into kind of a chaise position where I can put my little DVD player up, watch a movie, play the guitar. I mean, it really is quite versatile. So I do like that. Although the one thing I've noticed about it, you got your buckle, but you got that little weird, I don't know, it's like a rectangle, gadget on the strap there. I don't know what people call it. I've had that thing come off twice and go behind the seat.
Yes, and then you have to.
So I took the damn things off. I don't know what they're for, but they're not coming off anymore because I've got them stowed away now. I don't know if you have to have those to be legitimate.
Yeah. Now, do you leave your lounge down full time, or do you leave it in a seating position and then down when needed?
Yeah, I've been leaving it in a seating position because pretty much every time I've used my RV, I'm going to use the shower. If not that afternoon or evening, I'm going to do it first thing in the morning before I go, get picked up to go hiking. Yeah. So yeah. I'm kind of interested in sleeping on the thing though. I think I'm going to give that a try. Oh, here, I'll tell you my most inexpensive hack. That's really good. Is one of the things that people will notice is when you're trying to sleep, the control panel you'll inevitably see the Volta green or you'll see something else. So what I did is, and I looked at all the different things you can buy, all these Velcro covers and zip things and all this stuff. So I took a black kitchen towel and put 2 safety pins on it and hooked it onto the D-rings over there, and then that's it.
Easy.
And I'm done.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. So that works. So rather than spend a bunch of money on, I'm going to spend plenty of money, but I don't have to spend it on that.
Sometimes the cheap mods are the best. I like that one.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention is I did have a few problems when I first got the thing, and I wanted to mention that is my Volta panel just went out. It went completely out, and this is within a week of getting the thing. And I called Storyteller, and they literally overnighted me.
And you have the new version with the full LCD panel.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it blanked out. They said they hadn't had that happen. They took me through how to take the panel off. It's literally I plugged it out, plugged it back in, and did fine. The other issue I had was on the Volta display screen, you can set it for a timeout position or not to timeout at all. And what happened is when I had it on the timeout position, it wouldn't come back on. So what they couldn't figure out what's going on, but what they said is just leave it on, because it's not going to burn out anytime in the next few years, and by the time we'll figure it out eventually. So that's what I did. The one thing I wanted to ask people to chime in on it is I've had 3 times now this happen, and I think I figured out what's going on, but I have had the smoke or carbon monoxide thing go off, where it'll go off just a little bit. You'll get a few beeps over the course of a few minutes, and I think that it may be happening when I turn the hot water unit on, which makes me a little bit worried.
That's a strange one.
Yeah,
you might open a ticket too.
I did an experiment last night and tried to get it to come on. But I didn't wait very long. I'm gonna do it again when I have more time. I think I'm gonna turn it on and then just leave for a while and then come back and see if it's on. it happened this last time I was camping, and I just opened because a lot of times when I'm taking a shower, I'll go ahead and open the vent and open it just because it helps everything dry out.
Yeah.
And that seemed to get rid of it, which makes me a little worried that, I don't want to end up carbon monoxide dead.
Yeah, you should definitely at least open and
so
take
I'm
it to
gonna look into that a
Storyteller,
little bit
and
more.
maybe it's a bad one, but better safe than sorry.
Yeah. So anyway.
Huh.
Yeah.
Any other issues? That one sounds like something I want you to look into.
Yeah, that one I'm definitely going to look into. The other thing was the master light switch basically somehow got disconnected, so it was just flipping around. And they talked me through. Okay, you got to, basically you pull it out, and it come unscrewed. And it was, I've got a bunch of tools, so it's pretty easy to repair it once I got it isolated. So, but they're really good about taking you through, this stuff. So I have a feeling that most people have these little issues. But, you think about it, if you've ever moved into a new house, you're going to be calling your builder, about issues like that. So you kind of have to equate it to that. That's just going to happen.
Yeah, it happens.
But the air conditioner system and the heating system, I mean, they work great. I haven't had any problems with the hot water. I think that works great.
Yeah. I love hearing these stories, especially if they're simple fixes. But the new LED screens, LCD screens, they're still new on the market. So I think we're starting to hear there's sometimes they've got a few bugs in them, and they'll work it out. That's the nice thing we've seen. Speaking
of bugs. Did you want to talk about how we deal with bugs on the windshield?
Go for it. What is you had some really nice tips and tricks that I wrote down myself. So.
Well, yeah. So I like a clean windshield when I'm driving. In certain times of the year, you're gonna get inundated by bugs. And my God, if you're driving at night or whatever. But it does help to use the special Rain-X stuff for sure.
Now, do you put it on and let it sit and wipe it off, or do you put that in your windshield washer fluid?
So far, I have not put it in my windshield washer fluid. I've just let it on, but I can tell the difference in how it does that.
Yes.
Although when I run out of my current washer fluid, because I've got a couple extra cans left, I think I probably will give that a try to see if it makes much difference.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is I just started using the vinyl treatment on all the trim, and there's also a treatment for the wrap. And I used it on this last trip, and it really did make a big difference on how easy it is to get stuff off. Because bugs are the bane of our existence on that.
That is fantastic. I'm trying to look at my notes and see. I know we talked about that and tried to remember what those special ones were. But yeah, the Rain-X is that was one of the best things we found. What it does is it reduces the porosity.
I really like the big screen for the radio and everything, and the 360.
Yeah.
But I find it, I've got Sirius in my, Sirius XM in my truck, but just having the big screen where your different options are on there, and you can kind of just go back and forth so easy. I just find it makes driving just go so much easier. I like the automatic hookup with the phone because I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yes.
I love the assist control, the 360 camera. I've been in a couple of situations where I was really tight, having to pull out of a hostel. And I mean, if I didn't have that 360 camera, I'd be jumping out of the automobile every 2 seconds to see, okay, can I turn? Can I turn? Can I turn?
Yeah.
And the lane control saved my butt at least once, where I hate to admit, I kind of just kind of blinked off for a second. I was on a bridge, and it woke me up. Well, I wasn't completely asleep. I just had a second where I wasn't alert enough. So it definitely helps. I feel very safe in the thing. Because when you first get in it and you're way up high, like on my first trip home, I felt nervous as all get out.
Yes.
But now I feel much more safe in that than I do in my truck.
That's
my
good.
Toyota Tacoma truck. I just do.
Yeah. Well, it's almost a 5-ton vehicle. So now you're on the East Coast, so you got to be careful. You have some lower clearance items over there, I think, than maybe we do over here on the West Coast. Have you had any challenges with the height? And I think you're in the 10-foot range or so, 10 to 10.
Yeah, it's just over 10 feet. So you got it. The only time I had an issue was at my work. I've got to take one route in to park it rather than a different route because there's trees that'll hang down.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned that lesson. You know, most gas stations nowadays, you know, that's probably the most common place where you'd run into a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless you're on back roads or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you gotta, you know, you almost, it's easy to forget.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after you've been driving for a while, it'd be easy to forget, okay, I got to watch my clearance. You go into a new neighborhood for some reason, or, you know, you're going somewhere new. You got to be alert for that stuff. You know, you don't want the AC, you know, thing to be
better safe
although
than sorry.
I did have something interesting happen on the way back home. Is I had let the sliding window that's at the bed
Mm-hmm.
open when you're driving. And I don't know if you're supposed to do that or not, but the inside screen, yes, it's the inside screen.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's an inside screen.
Yes, the inside screen popped off in mid-drive.
Huh.
And I think it wasn't glued in all the way. Luckily, it popped inside. I didn't realize this till I got home. That, that's what that big, you know, crashing back there was. So there was a place where you needed to super glue it. I think it just must not have been glued in very well.
Yeah.
Because I think you should be able to leave that open while you're driving. I don't think you're supposed to leave the cantilevered windows open.
Yeah.
And I know you're not supposed to leave the vent cover.
The vent cover. That's
true. The guy at Campers Inn told me if you do that, it's gone.
It could be.
It's not gonna survive.
It depends on the wind. Well, as we're kind of wrapping things up here, tell me what your next adventure is. Are you planning? I'm guessing you're going hiking again soon. What are your next grand adventures planned for?
Yeah, so my mom wants to meet me and see the camper van and then do my next shuttle for the AT. For the Appalachian Trail. So I'm going to do that. I'm actually all the way down to Klingman's Dome and Fontana Dam. So I'm going to go down to Fontana Dam. You know, the driving is getting further and further away. This next drive is going to be like 8.5 hours. It's very comfortable in the van, but it's just getting further and further away. But I don't have to. I'm working my way from I did all of Virginia, and now I'm all the way about 200 miles from the beginning of the Appalachian Trail. So I'll basically be done with half.
Okay.
But I'll probably do a surf trip with my daughter down to the Outer Banks.
Nice.
I haven't thought about any long trips this summer, but next summer there's 6 states that I haven't been to. One of them's Alaska. I'm going to save that for a special trip, but probably go out west. We're going to do a surfing trip out there. I'd love to see Mount Rushmore. Get a good picture of the beast, you know, with Rushmore in the background.
Yes.
So that'll probably be next summer. But, you know, I'm open. I mean, it's, you know, we'll see. I mean, that's kind of the great thing. I mean, I'd love to go to one of the meetups if it's not too far away.
See
and I might try to just, and I might try to do some mountain biking. There's some great Forest Service roads in Virginia where I could boondock and mountain bike. You know, just go up for the weekend and do that. I think that'd be kind of fun too. So got a few things. You know,
that'd be a blast. We've as these vans increase, hopefully more meetups on the East Coast. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, with that brings me to my last question, and I'm sure you've never ever heard this one before, but. What does it mean to you to be part of the Stow Nation community?
I guess it makes me know that I'm not very real. If I'm weird, at least I'm not alone. Because there's other people.
There's a lot of others out there
who kind of get into this stuff. But it really does feel a little bit like a family. I mean, I kind of felt like after I talked to you the first time, I'm like, man, we had so much to talk about because you don't have to be in these, you don't have to. We're not all Matt Foley's, but I think we all, if you know who Matt Foley is, the van down by the river from Saturday Night Live, the motor. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do though.
Okay, so I mean, I don't think we're not Matt Foley's in that we're a bunch of losers, but we are Matt Foley's in that we all, share certain experiences and certain interests, and I think it's really cool how people. I like learning about how people are using theirs. My big envy is to be able to live off the, to be able to work off grid, away from the office. As a surgeon, I have to put my hands on people to help them. And I'm going to continue to work for a few more years because my kids still pretty young. But that's my one envy. Although at some point I may switch to where I quit my regular job and I do what's called locum tenens, where someone needs an ENT doctor for 2 weeks. I can work as much or as little as I want, and then I can go out west and surf for 3 weeks, or I could go to Yellowstone, or I could do whatever. So I could definitely see doing that, because then I can work as much or as little as I want. I'm not quite where I want to do that yet, but now with the camper van, that's going to make that a lot easier.
You have options.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a good one. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, George, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to steal some of your helpful tips, tricks, and I'm probably going to rain-X my windshield, because it's definitely plastic. But thank you so much. Hope to see you on the road very, very soon. And take care. And we'll have to check in soon and make sure things are going well on the Appalachian Trail.
All right. Thanks, Michelle. Really enjoyed it. See you, Stow Nation.
Stow Nation is a production of Park Media. The executive producer is Younghwa Kim. The audio engineer is
Stephen Grasso.
The marketing director is
Guillaume Golson.
The original music and artists is done by
Jason Walsmith.
The sound designer is
Lorenzo Interiano.
And the webmaster is
Peng Shi.
Without any of these people, this podcast couldn't happen, so a big, huge thank you. And a big, huge thank you to you, the listener. If you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a 5-star review. This is Younghwa with Stow Nation, and I can't wait to share the road with you.